On to item 23 now, the review of the major event strategy, and if we could have Nick Bryan and Lauren Heafy to the table.
Hello.
Do you need a bigger chair?
Yeah, hopefully.
You're okay?
Yeah. Right, I think you're on there too. And we've got some slides.
We did have a presentation, but we don't have to talk to it.
What's that? Oh, right, not quite there.
No.
All right, okay, good, noted. It was the walk here that killed me. These two walked so fast.
Right. Okay, great. Kia ora, thank you very much. We'll just whip through. I don't seem to be able to move the slides on here, so we'll just nod on one. I'll take the paper as read largely, but just for the first 6 months of this calendar year, we went through a review process for the major event strategy that was originally adopted in 2018. We went through a targeted stakeholder consultation process, which is outlined in the paper, and looked at what lessons have been learned and what's changed in the city, which is really that the city in that 3 years has moved from a situation where we didn't look that attractive from an events perspective, from an organiser perspective, to actually looking really like we're in really good shape and heading in a really strong direction. The reason this is coming to you today, our board have adopted this strategy in September, and when they took that resolution, they also agreed to send this over here for endorsement. The reason for that is that this strategy sits under the Council's events policy framework, which determines the need for it and also distinguishes the role of this strategy from the community events plan, which Council delivers. And basically the strategy continues along a similar vein in terms of outlining what we're trying to achieve and how we're going to achieve it. The outcomes have remained largely the same. There's a slight wording change from leverage and legacy to community benefit. That's just reflecting the actual outcome is actually the community benefit, whether that be social or environmental, and leverage and legacy are really industry terms, which are more the mechanisms by which you achieve that. And so priorities, the first two there reflect those outcomes around enhancing Christchurch's profile and growing economic and community and delivering economic and community benefits. And we intend to do that through tactically through providing a balanced portfolio. That means across seasons, across genres, across venues to a certain extent, taking a best fit approach to the event, and across interests so that there's something for everyone in the community, hopefully. And to grow and diversify our funding pool so we'll be able to accelerate delivery and increasingly build on the work we've already done to continue to build partnership approaches to delivering major events. I'll just hand over to Lauren to talk a bit more about implementation.
So, as you are aware, the amount of event infrastructure coming online is incredibly comprehensive and positions us really well as a city. But the major events strategy is designed to take advantage of activating that new events infrastructure, taking a best for city venues agnostic approach. So that will look like what events are best against our portfolio and how we create a portfolio that activates all of our assets and includes Venues Ōtautahi, Christchurch City Council, but also private event organisers and local sporting organisations and community organisations. In terms of the events pipeline, we are working with a global group of advisors to develop an international event pipeline through to the next 10 years and identifying what it will take to activate that pipeline if required based on the infrastructure and the financial investment needed. Next slide. So what we're hoping to show you now is what a balanced portfolio looks like. And as we mature and progress as an event agency and an event city, it's likely that some events will drop off the Christchurch NZ portfolio and move into the community portfolio as we attract greater, larger, major and mega events. So we've developed a reasonably simple framework that is currently being adopted by Venues Ōtautahi and Christchurch City Council, where you can see the three pillars of the strategy against these spider graphs. And I'll just get you to flick through. This is the All Blacks as an example. An economic impact value of about 2, but a high city profile value because of their broadcast you can see Sale GP here. It's the perfect trifecta in terms of the broadcast reach, the community and infrastructure benefit, but also the economic impact. Other mega events like Women's Cricket World Cup are similar. Here you can see what a concert does as opposed to something that has high broadcast. So concerts are more short-term impact but very high value from an economic benefit perspective. The next one. And then this just gives you what our most recent portfolio provided in terms of a balance. So you can see here, this first one just shows the balance between the three sectors that we look to focus on: profile, leverage, community and legacy, and economic impact. If you flick onto the next one, this gives you an idea of the varied sectors, so sports, art, cultural and music, and how we create a balanced portfolio across those. And then the next one shows our seasons. Seasonality is one of our most challenging event issues at the moment, but once the Canterbury Multi-Use Arena is built with a roof, we will be able to attract a lot more winter content, which will be fantastic. So moving forwards, we're looking to establish our major events advisory group, which is that global group of influencers that I told you about. We're looking to get our core city event partners to also work with that advisory group, so Venues Otatahi, Christchurch City Council, the private sector, Te Pai Christchurch, and then develop a long-term pipeline that we will bid for. It's really important to remember that major events, as you know, are long lead time. One opportunity that we're currently working on is the 2028 T20 World Cup Cricket. So we're looking as long as 10 years in the horizon to activate this strategy. So hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Tim and Yanni.
Just with regards to the stadium, if you look at Dunedin, for instance, it really accelerated Dunedin and its discussion around the country when they had like Ed Sheeran's, etc. What do you, because here, like Phil Collins, for instance, you know, our stadium, our temporary stadium, fantastic beast for the first few years, but it is well and truly over, and so it's not something to skite about now. So how do you see that changing or implementing?
I think the ease of ability to attract events will change considerably, and we will find a lot more content that we're able to acquire. I also think we'll generate more hype and profile and build our reputation. So that event experience is going to be critical in those first couple of concerts that we host, so that both the promoters and the performers, but also the community and our visitors have a great experience, and we can reputationally build on that.
And my last question, although I've got a lot, but I'd only ask two because I'm sure others have. On your the activating new events infrastructure, the Court Theatre was the lead and is the leading professional theatre company in New Zealand from its very inception, but its content is insular because they've got, obviously they know their market, they know to stimulate their actors, but also the audience, and they've got a balance there. So it's kind of different to the others because it is insular, but it is also one of those things you've got to promote, and it should be promoted as citywide. So how does that fit in with the other? Because the others are very different.
Yeah, so they are all very different. I think when you look at Parakiore versus Canterbury Multi-Use Arena versus Te Pai Christchurch Convention Centre, it is about attracting events that are best for city. So we work with promoters to what their requirements are and then attach them to a venue. But similarly, the Court Theatre obviously are also involved in their own attraction and event development. So where they don't need Christchurch NZ or another entity to be involved, we'll just amplify their messaging and promote it through our marketing channels. So there's other benefits that we can provide to events in the city that aren't just supporting them from an investment perspective.
And I'll just say further to that, reflecting that that facility is available, it may only form part of a major event. So you might have a sporting event that goes for 3 weeks, but you need a award ceremony or some closing venue, and having Te Pai and the theatre available for those sorts of added value parts just makes the package more complete.
Yeah. Don't forget the town hall.
And the town hall.
Well, that precinct is a huge sales opportunity for us, the town hall, Court Theatre and Te Pai all beside each other. Yeah.
And
Thank you. Sometimes there's a bit of confusion actually about what is a major event and what is. I realise that you've got a very clear matrix that you use to identify a major event, but I'm wondering how do you identify a community event? Conversely, is there a similar matrix that you use?
Yeah, so that's what we've now worked to establish across Christchurch City Council, Venues Ōtautahi and ourselves. We meet monthly to differentiate between who the events should sit with in an ideal world using this matrix. So essentially, Christchurch City Council sits around the community events. They'll sometimes cross over into commercial events, which is where Venues Ōtautahi very clearly play, and then we will sometimes come over into commercial events, but mostly focus on major and mega events. There is collaboration anytime we have a huge major or mega event because we need venues and we need Christchurch City Council support. So we are very close and knitted together and all working to this same matrix.
How does that work out in terms of funding? Do you kind of have a discussion about who pays for what and how and all the rest of it?
Absolutely. Usually it's pretty fair. I think there have been events that we've looked to move back into the community realm for Christchurch City Council, but equally there have been ones that they've put up to us. With Venues Ōtautahi, we really focus on working with them on attraction, so we get involved when it is required to help them get something over the edge and just, provide an incentive, but we also focus very heavily in that very large scale event, and that's where we play. Yeah.
I've got Yanni and then Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you. I was just interested in how, whether we as councillors have workshops or been involved in any of the development of this. Because I don't recall us being invited to anything, but I may have missed it.
No, it was sent to all councillors for comment, that was the opportunity that we had, and I worked with Elizabeth Wilson and I'm not sure if she's here today, but to sort of determine what the best pathway through was. We did meet with Leanne and discuss it briefly, and she's provided the forward.
And we hosted a workshop in July. So we hosted it.
Not specifically on the strategy, but more on the
we covered off some of the draft focus of the strategy in that workshop.
With councillors. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. I see that you've kind of made reference to using local. And I guess I just wanted to understand, is that going to change in how you currently operate to encourage more use of local, or does it just kind of maintain the status quo with how you make decisions about which companies you use to run events?
Yeah, we're reviewing that at the moment. There are occasionally at the moment still challenges around capacity and capability. So we're really working on developing that within the city, and as much as we can focusing on supporting local. Obviously Strut and Fret, who deliver Bread and Circus, are not local, but they have a program in place where they develop local talent to build up that future capability. So we're trying to instill as much professional development into the industry as we can if there is a gap.
Right, okay. And I can't, I'm just trying to find where I read it, but the rejection of the Invictus Games bid made quite an interesting comment about us not, I think it was kind of like we weren't visionary enough. We didn't have, and I was quite surprised because normally when I've seen collateral for the city, obviously with the rebuild and post-earthquake environment, we've sort of won awards for kind of the atmosphere and the different kind of things that we've got going on. So are you able to just give us some sense of,
I would potentially also read vision as budget. So we were very competitive from a budget perspective, but when we're up against New York and Seattle, some of the ideas that we had put in place don't have the same amount of money that are tagged to them. So we are reviewing that at the moment and how we can affordably host big events like that and create a great vision without it needing to cost multi-million dollars. We are going back to look at the 2027 Invictus Games. They indicated to us that they are very interested in working with Ōtautahi Christchurch, but that we weren't quite there yet. And that is a maturity for us as a city too. It was infrastructure, but also our vision. And I think that's a great learning for us. Bidding also gives us opportunities to learn.
But Lauren, I think it's also fair to say we didn't have absolute certainty on the timing for the stadium.
No.
And that
right.
would have been an important factor. So I think, we need to be balanced in that response.
It was more the vision.
What I've heard Lauren say, just to reflect on that, is that she said very clearly that each time we bid, we learn from that bidding experience when we get feedback. And I think that's a really valuable, contribution to the way forward on this. So I just wanted to pick that up rather than...
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, for those of us that remember the IPC Paralympics that were held at QE2, like, remember the extraordinary sense that we got from that event around the city being flat, being accessibility friendly.
It was flattened within weeks.
Well, we know that, but we've also been rebuilding. But
If I were to give a good example of a learning and vision, would be that we moved from the Invictus Games bid to the Sale GP bid, and they selected us over Auckland in the original version because of our vision.
Okay. And then I guess just the kind of, I guess what I still struggle with is to get a sense of the benefit of some of these events. So, like, still sort of struggling to see the money that we invest versus the outcomes that we get, and who gets those benefits. And I know we were doing work to sort of standardise the reporting framework across, I think, New Zealand or the South Island.
So this is the reporting framework.
Yeah. So just really keen to know, like, how you prioritise around or how you assess the benefits in terms of local impact. Because it still seems to me...
Isn't that what you went through with this?
Yeah.
Sorry, you can.
So local impact is one part of the impact. So it includes economic impact, community benefit, infrastructure investment, and then the future benefit is city profile and legacy outcomes.
Right.
Inherently, all of them need to deliver locally. We have a scoring criteria and matrix, which you can see up here. And as I've sort of indicated, as the city grows in its event maturity, you're likely to see greater outcomes from major events, and some of those smaller events shift away. I think even the maturity growth in the last 3 years has been pretty incredible in terms of what we've been able to attract for the city. So I fully expect that to continue to grow.
But this is the framework that we've been asking to see, and it's really good to see it so clearly set out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jimmy. Oh.
Okay, thank you. I have two questions. Okay, no. The first one, because your reviews are separate two stages. Stage 1 is internal review. Stage 2 is external. All those kind of national stakeholders. After review, have any different speaker gap? Because in here I review 5.7 looks like it's very good strategic direction. Okay, most my those outcome is that's pretty good. Have any the gap to be improved second stage from the external stakeholders?
So I think what came through from the stakeholder consultation was an even stronger strength, particularly from the operators, who a number of, I think only one of which is based in Christchurch, most are based outside of Christchurch, is that they really saw that the city had moved from being in a not looking very attractive to them to really being something they were really excited about getting involved with. And the specificity that we've been able to build over the last 3 years around, if you compare this strategy to the 2018 strategy, around how we actually go about implementation and being just a lot more explicit about that and really laying it out in a simple way so that the operators can say, oh, okay, yeah, I can see how I want to play in that space and we can all have a great time. I think that for me was the really key thing that came through and did lead to us really looking quite hard at and reframing the strategy from to really make it a sales document, if you like, as well, so that we can actually go and proudly put that on the table of an event organizer anywhere in the world and say, this is what we're passionate about this. We really want to achieve these things. Have you got an idea? Come talk to us. We're open and we're excited and we want to really deliver these outcomes for our city. Okay. So that was what came through from me in terms of that second stage when we started having conversations outside.
Okay. The other one regarding to your national stakeholders here, except these key stakeholders, I'm not sure whether you consider the hospitality New Zealand. They are also nationwide. There's a big, affected by this kind of major event.
Yeah, absolutely. So Peter Morrison, Hospitality NZ, and also Julie White work with us. Yes. Julie's seen the strategy. They're very comfortable with it and very eager to stay involved with our major events portfolio.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Last question, okay. Overall review, I just want to know, regarding to our 2018 those strategy, and compared to this new one, regarding to all our major or macro event, have any the change or not? Definition, have any change?
No, not in the definition of what is a major.
No, any change.
No, that would really draw on the council's events framework. That actually outlines what is defined as a major event and guides us in that respect, and also in turn guides the council in response to the earlier question around what is a community event. So yeah, we've really stayed with that. But we did also look at at Major Events New Zealand and other national policy frameworks to see has anything changed in that space. But really, we've got a strong consistency across the definitions, so that hasn't changed.
All right, Aaron?
Yeah, just one quick one. It's just kind of a follow-on from Yanni's, because he always complains about local and stuff. But he does compliment Venues o Tuatahi for their switch to the buy local or supply local campaign. Have we considered with any of our events and things of trying to grow more local stuff? So whether you're talking to creatives, directors, writers, performers, and saying what can you put together with our help? Because you can do the business side, they might not be that good at that, and line up all the ducks, and then rather than bringing in a whole lot of other performers, but not just to perform here, but then to go on. So using your economic development arm to say, you know what, you could probably tour this for 2 years. You could possibly get a residency there, or Shanghai or Vegas or wherever. That kind of work.
Usually, not specifically that kind of work, because we speaking of keeping it local, we like to keep that impact local. We do provide seed funding for new event ideas.
Right.
For example, we're working with Salt District and Street Art Festival right now to look at what the development of a future homegrown event that exists annually in the portfolio could look like. They take a long time, but we do provide funding for that in an annual funding round to look at opportunities for local event development. Venues o Tuatahi are part of that as well with us.
Yeah, because it'd be great to think if someone had an idea as good as, say, river dance or something like that, that they could walk into your office and get guided in the right ways to go, you're going to need a lot of backing, but you're also going to need a lot of business help, but here's how we do it.
We do have event development managers who provide event capability support. It just depends where they sit in terms of their scale.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Should note that the Bread and Circus World Buskers Festival became the Backyard Buskers Festival earlier this year, and it was outstanding. It was actually one of the best ones that I can ever remember, especially in New Regent Street.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Notices your front-facing photo on the strategies. Brought a smile to my face. Jimmy, you're happy to move. Is there a seconder for that? Aaron, any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.